Shakti, what's up, man? How are you? Good. Great. Okay. Are we good to start? Where's Sri Lekha? She's not there. She's not joining. Okay. No worries. Okay. Great. All right. So, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you on a Friday evening at 5:30. Welcome back on Cornerstone Weaving Workplace, where we talk about human dynamics on DC Live, where we care, we share, and we are on air. Today, we're talking about a corporate skill. We spoke about criticism, handling criticism last week. And at the end, we spoke about resilience, right? So we spoke about resilience, which is your ability to bounce. And today, I'm going to talk about resilience. And we have a perfect real life inspiration for today, because it is the birthday of the legendary superstar Rajinikanth, the Talaiva himself. Okay. That's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to take his life events, possibly a few of them, and understand from it how resilient and how did he handle that, right? So that's what we're going to do, because we all know sometimes work gets toughening. Work is full of unexpected turns. But how do we navigate them? So we're going to talk about something special today. We're going to talk about the Talaiva himself, right? We're going to talk about Rajinikanth, and we're going to see how his journey helps us. Yeah, right.
Hi, Rudhra.
Hey, Sri Lekha. Nice to meet you here.
Yeah, so as when you talk about Talaiva, I couldn't stop myself because I'm the biggest. I can't say I'm the biggest one, but I'm fan of Talaiva. Like,
I know, and I always pull surprises like him for you. நான் எப்போ வருவேன் எப்படி வருவேன் யாருக்கும் தெரியாது. ஆனா வர வேண்டிய நேரத்துல கரெக்டா வந்துடுவேன்ற மாதிரி. I give you a surprise again.
DC லைவ்ல தான் வரணும், வேற எங்கேயும் வரணும். நீங்க இங்கதான் வரணும். என்ன நாலு நேரம் கிழமை எல்லாம் மாறுபடுமே தவிர்த்து வழி ஒரே வழிதான், நேர் வழி DC லைவ் தான்.
Okay.
What is your, I mean, the love dialogue of Rajinikanth?
Right. I'm going to use many of them in this show today. Okay. Hope all of you enjoy.
Do you think like, no, it like, summer punch probably, something like that?
That is exactly right. Okay. All right. Okay. Resilience is not about becoming, it's not about being invincible or being something that, you go to the low and then you probably do not come back. It's about recognizing the setback and choosing to find your footing again. I repeat, it's about recognizing your setback and choosing to find your footing again. It's the ability to bounce, not instantly, but eventually, right? Not immediately, right? And that's the business concept also, right? Acceptance and action. That's what we are talking about here in business. So let's probably, use an analogy, use both of these together and then see how we can apply that in our life. Okay. So now let's talk about the original superstar itself, Rajinikanth. As we all know, he's become a Talaiva today, Talaiva, superstar, many names. But think about this, right? The first thing that he did way back when he 50 years ago or 51, 52 years ago, when he wanted to act, the first thing he did, he was in Bangalore, he was working as a bus conductor. He himself says, I was a coolie, I was a carpenter, I was a bus conductor for the Bangalore Transport Service. And from there to what he is today, how did he do that? The first step, what is the first? He got himself enrolled into the Film Acting Institute, the Film Institute, which is to train himself formally into the acting field. That's the first step. So whenever we get something done, so that's a learning, right? You want to formally learn something. You want to learn AI today. You want to learn technology today. You want to learn something new. Always step yourself and put yourself into that place where you want to learn something formally. That's the first step, right? It does not happen just like that. He made it happen. That's the difference, right? First point. Now, immediately after the Film Institute, He was spotted by K. Balachandar, and everybody knows all of this, right? And he said, what was he chosen just like that? No, he was not, because he could not speak the language Tamil. So that's the first setback. That's an initial rejection and a language barrier. That's the first step early in his 1975. We're talking about 50 years ago in his career. Probably most of us were not even born at that point of time when we are listening to this, right? But what did he do? He learned the language to succeed. And then he was cast in Apurva Ragangal was his first movie, and then he started off from there. So that's the barrier that he came up as a first step, right? So the language barrier that he crossed. So takeaway here, and also think about it this way: it was a very small role, right? That he did. Now the takeaway from that is never underestimate a small role. Use every opportunity. Use every project, no matter how small it is, and prepare yourself for that. That's what is the first step that I'm talking. Prepare yourself for that. Now, the second thing that happens, right? You want to also understand how he transformed himself and how he moved from just being an actor to the style icon. That's because he recognized what's his biggest strength, what's his opportunity to be lateral, and he developed the style what we know today. This is an ultimate demonstration of resilience, because he knew what is going to work, and then he oriented himself towards it. Okay, when something is new, anchor it towards your success. Find your strengths, find your opportunities, find what you need to set yourself towards. Targeted self-improvement is very, very important. And that's what he did. Let's take about one incident, right? Around 1977, after his movie Patinaru Vaidhanile released, right? He stated this in one of his speeches, and he walks, he's called for a movie, he's on the floor, and he's all, ready with the costume and the makeup. And then he says, you know what, you said you're going to give me a part of the payment, which is the advance. And then it's shunned by the producer for asking his rightful remuneration. And he says, you're not going to continue in this project. That's shunning someone away. That's taking someone away's job, right? How do you think you would have reacted by it? Imagine Easy's managed shame. How do you come back from shame? Because you can come back from failure. You can come back from, an angry situation, but you have faced shame, right? He came back and bought his own car and drives that back again to the same floor where he met that. So that is what is very, very important. His focus, his dedication towards that. And he says, I drove the car, back to the same place, or the same place where I met that shame. So just imagine how much of toughness do you need, how much of planning do you need, how much of dedication do you need, how much of work do you need. So that was the takeaway. Sometimes we all face shame. Sometimes we all face the crowd and feel not nice about it, unpleasant about it, but we do not come back. When you come back with success there, it's going to be always something very special. That's the second incident that I want to talk about. The third one, he always spoke about, was very focused, he was very targeted. And there's an anecdote where he bought his first property. I think one of the hotels, the Pink or the Park. I'm not sure that's where this property is. One of his first property, bought somewhere around the late 1970s to early 1980s. He worked continuously and shot for 18 movies within a year. That's the number of movies that he worked for. And then he says that this is all on the public domain. You can just go watch it somewhere. And he says he worked for 18 movies, and that's when they said that because he's working so much, there were rumors, there were words that spread across that he's mentally not fair, he's not healthy, he's not able to do a lot of work. So he came back from that. And that's immediately after that is when he comes back and gives you a great success like Billa, which is even spoken today. Just imagine you go back to a major setback and you come back and deliver a Billa. That's what he's all about. Right? That's Rajinikanth. for you. Now, he doesn't. We all like milestones, right? We all like milestones. We all like completion of anniversaries, completion of projects. I meant the work anniversaries, completion of new projects, success, being recognized in R&Rs. You do 100th movie, and it does not give you the success what you want. It's 100th movies, Sri Raghavendra. And again, at the same time, he made other movies like Vidudalai, Maveer, and probably Kodi Parakkade a little later. And then a string of box office failures. You're just facing failures, and one of your major milestones is a failure. How do you handle it? How do you handle it? So that's why I say it is not easy handling failure. But then he stood still, he took it, he introspected. He says all of this, and there's a book, by the name is Rajinikanth. You can read a bit of it. Is available in this book about him. And then he says, how did he orient himself? And then he says, he popularly talks about this one phone call he made to Rajkumar, the Kannada actor, and then how Rajkumar told him about his movie, Raghavendra, also did not really take off that well. But then how did it pick late? And then he says, that's how I came back. So you look for that one mentor, you look for that one invisible voice that's going to give you the right message. That's very, very important. And seek help when you want to handle failure, right? So that's the right way of looking at it. Great. Now, then comes the great period when Rajinikanth becomes a superstar, blockbusters, one after the other. Then he transforms from being a superstar to a on-screen demigod himself, right? So that's the period of Annamalai to Arunachalam. That's how I call it, Annamalai to Arunachalam. Because after Arunachalam, it takes him another 2.5, 3 years to make a movie called Padayappa that is released today. The initial release was on 10th of April 1999, and it was released almost 26 years today. And everybody are having a great show today. So that's the period when you are at the peak of your success, right? So you're at the peak of your success. We all know that he gets stuck in a traffic jam in police car in his home. Then the infamous incident, which has been recorded in the movie Lucifer as well. And all of that happened. So how do you handle that? How do you handle pressure? How do you handle success together? Humility, right? Humility is one way of playing it with resilience. Great. Any setback, humility in success and setback. That's what he showed us all together, right? So how humble do you handle it? How nice do you do it? How graceful are you about handling your success and your setbacks? That's what shows accountability and humility. Now it's going great, and then all of the great success. There's one movie, right? So there's one movie called Baba, which fails for him. He produces, he writes the story, screenplay, then it's a bomb, right? But I love that movie personally. I say this, Sri Lekha might understand, resonate better with me on this. We all believe in God, great believers of God. We all pray every day. Where is God? கடவுள் பூமிக்கு இறங்கி வந்து நின்னாரு என்கிட்ட பேசினாருன்னு ரஜினிகாந்தே சொன்னாலும் ஒத்துக்கலணும். That's one truth which we do not agree. Right? Okay. Everything else we agree. கடவுள் பூமிக்கு வந்தாரு என்கிட்ட பேசினாருன்னு ரஜினி சொன்னாவே ஒத்துக்க மாட்டேன்றோம். அதான் நம்புவோம். அதே ஒரு மனுஷன் போய் நான் பேயை பார்த்தானா ஒத்துக்குவோம், கடவுளை பார்த்தானா ஒத்துக்க மாட்டோம். ஆனா கடவுள் நம்பிக்கை நமக்கு எல்லாம் அதிகம். That's how the world is, right? So that's one of my favorite movies of Rajinikanth, the Baba. How it goes, it's a bomb, it goes down. Now he understands what is going to, what's the loss of it, and he doesn't want people to be lost. That's the sense of a great leader, right? You let the movie, you call everybody and say, you don't have to be under the financial loss, and he takes the loss on him and repays it to the distributor's losses. And this shows professional accountability and responsibility, which we all as leaders, or which we all as corporate employees should have. That's very, very important. We will fail, right? But how do you take accountability and responsibility is what we should really take and learn from this event of his life. Okay. Next comes the major setback of his health, about 2 years without movies and all of that, right? He says, Rajinikanth always, said after the Baba loss, right? Chandramukhi. Now, just imagine that you come back and do this movie, and in the audio launch, it's a grand success. And then he says, Nayana illa, kudra, right? So that's the dialogue. So that's resilience, people. But wherein it is about coming out of a setback and how do you come back. That is what it showed. Now, talking about 2011, his health sets back, and he goes to Singapore for his treatment. He comes back. Rajini is written off. He's aged. He's 60 plus, and right? How could he come back with this health? In spite of that, he comes back, and yes, one of his first movies after comeback probably is Linga in 2014. Comes back and does a lot of dispute around it, a lot of confusions around the financial profits that it made. However, comes back again with Kabali. So 2016, Kabali releases for it. So now just imagine the transition, right? So there's a major setback at that age for him, for health. You learn, what you should be doing, and then you come back and do something that fails. Comes back again. That's a success. So that's what it is, right? So that's where criticism, resilience, and how you handle setback and how do you come back after it is very, very important. Now, post that, I really do not want to push on the political side and talk about it. But think about it this way, right? In the last 14 years after that, 2011 of his health setbacks and everything, he has had many movies. A few of them has been successes. A few of them have been mixed reviews. But what has kept him going? His ability to bounce back, which is resilience. Okay. Now, with all of this, he did act because of his limited abilities. He acted in few of the in few of his movies like Kocharayan and other movies, and then that made him with the motion capture, right? So that made him act in 4 different forms of the world cinema: black and white, color, 3D, and motion capture, right? So that's what he does. Okay, that's resilience, right, people? And you've spanned across 5 decades, right? So the key takeaway is true professional resilience includes humility. When you succeed, stay grounded. When you fail, take responsibility. This kind of transparency builds trust. Your resilience anchor is very, very important for this. Small habits of perseverance, learning, and accountability. That's very, very important, right? So that's where you need to really look up to certain life events, and then from your own life event, right? So that's what it is. Now, let's also look at some workplace things that may happen. We need to actively build a culture where it's okay to say, I need help. Rajinikanth has always told that I need help. I messed up. He calls himself, I'm not a great actor, right? Like maybe in a funny way, but then that's what he says, right? And then he owns up for it. And just imagine seeking for help, right? So one, I always say in Arunachalam, Andavan Solra, Arunachalam Saira, right? So you always connect to the higher power for a guidance, right? So that's what it is. Someone else guides me and I get it done. That's very important, number one. Number two, when you're cornered, Rajinikanth always turns towards his friend. So that's the help request, correct? That has been, in real life, and then all of it where you normalize the help request. It's okay to not know something and ask, how does this work? Can someone guide me? That's what it is, correct? And that's the kind of things that you learn from his life. Like always say, he says in some of his, in 80s, he says, the kudra odadu, 90ல சொன்னாங்க இந்த குதிரை ஓடாது, 2000ல சொன்னாங்க இந்த குதிரை ஓடாது, 2010ல சொன்னாங்க ஓடாது, 2020ல சொன்னாங்க ஓடாது, 40 வருஷமா இந்த குதிரை ஓடிட்டு இருக்கு. யூ லைக் இட், யூ டிஸ்லைக் இட். You can either like Rajinikanth or do not like Rajinikanth, but you just cannot ignore, right? So that's how it is. And you have something that you can learn from him. And so that's the dedication that I had for Talaivar Rajinikanth. And I think coincidentally, one of my favorite songs from Linga was being played when I just stepped in. And there's a lot more that I can really talk, but then I wanted to connect resilience and Rajinikanth together, and I hope I've justified that. Okay, thank you all. Anybody wants me to ask a question here, anywhere that they have about Rajinikanth's events or anything of an anecdote, life event, I can probably talk about it as well. Open to Sri Lanka as well. I know she just said she's a huge fan of Rajinikanth.
No. I'm just thinking like I may get opportunity to meet Rajini. So when I meet, I will be sharing this record link to him and watch. See, we can connect Rajini with anyone. Like we can connect with anybody. That's what. So as you said, people like, don't like, it's secondary. But see, that's a very big example, right? So it's not easy for him to be there. He also met many failures. Correct. It's not so easy when you are at the topmost and you met the failures. Again, coming back with more energy, right? And in different age variation, different health issues and all these things. But when we think about, we keep saying like we say some other issues and take excuses, especially. So these are people like no living legend for us to take it an example, whether we are a fan or not, something like that. It's the moment when you say Rajini, energy passes out. That's what I feel like.
Wonderful.
Yeah, for me, Rajini is energy. Yes.
Great, nice. So, what's your earliest? Okay. By the way, you said you have an opportunity to meet Rajini. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
When?
I created. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'm trying it for
what is the opportunity? Then probably you should. I know you cannot tell that online here, but then I think Sri Lanka, you should make that happen.
I'll take selfie post.
You don't do things alone. Rajinikanth is always told, right? Nanpenda is Rajinikanth's dialogue. So like that, you have friends like me whom you can tag along and take.
Definitely. Otherwise, I'll just give you a video call, group video call. At the moment, say hi and don't do the easily Rajinikanth.
Right. Okay.
So, trying hard to connect. So not on birthday, but very closely. Once we went 3 to 4 years before, but unfortunately we couldn't meet. So something again, I'm trying it again with the people contacting us. He's very close contact with the people who go for this meditation, temple, all this thing, right? Okay. So one of the person is very close to my husband. So he said that I can take you very easily. But for the last 4 years, we're trying it. One time it was luckily we got very close. We thought like tomorrow we're going to meet him, but it got postponed until we didn't get the date.
Okay.
It's like சொல்றான் அருணாச்சலம் செய்யறான். So we have to wait. ரஜினி சொல்லணும் நம்ம செய்யணும் அந்த மாதிரி wait பண்ணணும். Something like that.
I know all of that. So என் வழி தனி வழி. Yeah. Right. Okay. Great. Okay. Hope you all enjoyed the show, especially Sri Lanka and Shakti here. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Okay.
Manju is one of the very biggest fan of Rajini, who was part of DC Live. So anytime you speak Rajini, she'll never give up. So she's one of the very big fan for Rajini, like Talaivala. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. All right, people. So tonight or this evening on the birthday of legendary Rajinikanth, we have learned that resilience is not an inherited trait, but a process of acceptance and action. It's actually built through small choices that you make, your unique style, learn from feedback, operate with humility, accountability, and then you need to have perseverance and evolution of it. Okay? And create, you just pause and reflect on one thing that you have handled well this week, and one small bounce back that you probably had, and how did you come back? Recognize that quiet strength in yourself. Okay. Thanks, people. So this is Rudra signing off from DC Live. Until I meet you on next Friday at 5:30 on another episode of Cornerstone Weaving Workplace. on DC Live, where we care, we share, we are on. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Rudra. Thank you.
Okay.